What's going on with hip hop, man? Tell me, what's the outlook of hip hop?
Well, I mean, issue, man. People don't want to talk about mental illness in hip hop.
Big issue.
Big issue in our community, man. People don't want to talk about it. They either want to place blame. It's something that we have always, as a people, shied away from. You know, and it doesn't just affect the art. You know, it's all throughout the community. Whether it's the kids in school, whether it's adults that have issues that don't want to seek help. You know, it's a lot of different things. But as the more and more we see it, more prevalent, the more we run away from it as a people. It's definitely prevalent in the art form.
It's a stigma, definitely in the black community. You know, a lot of us, I guess we feel an embarrassment or something of that nature where they don't want to talk about it, or they don't even want to go get help.
Right.
You know, be it your kid maybe possibly have an ADD, to your artist, acting crazy. You got DMX, who obviously is something going on with it. It's obvious.
Yeah, exactly.
Game, he's definitely a bipolar. Then it's well documented that Joe Budden got
he tries to birth himself through the music.
And he definitely, and I think DMX does the same thing. And I think Game, I don't think he does that. He attacks other people. But DMX and Joe Budden, they usually tackle it through the music. And you can definitely hear it in both of them.
Let me ask you, do you think they don't get help because it affects their creativity?
I think they don't like the stigma of it. I don't think they want to come out and say, it's different putting it out in the music and saying, I'm dealing with this issue, because you're rapping it in an art form and you're wrapping it up in creativity. But then when you just say, okay, no beat, no lyrics, and you just step aside and say, I have a problem, that's different. It's hard for people to face that thing.
I can definitely relate, because, I think everybody has issues. I know I've gone through, and I haven't gotten any help or anything, but I've gone through, even myself, spells of depression and something like that. Maybe you feel like my life, I'm not where I want to be, and what I'm doing and whatever my endeavors are, or it seems like everything goes wrong at the same time. So getting these little funks, man, and it can affect your productivity and where you're going to the next level. Can affect your relationships, various different things. I know, I won't say it runs in my family, but there's a history. I've had 3 cousins commit suicide, so I know that it's some possible genetics going on, but you have to always think positive,
right? Exactly.
Or talk to somebody. I know one big thing is, man, getting it out. That's why I think artists have an outlet, because they can put it on a different outlet than an ordinary person. And so I think the ordinary person, either you need to write some poetry, or write a journal, or have a confidant, somebody that you can talk to. Because sometimes it's just about getting it out, telling how you feel about something, man. And a lot of people like that. They don't feel like they can go to anyone. Especially our young teenagers, and mostly the men.
Now, how can issues like this affect not only the youth, not only affect the art form, but affect the youth? Because you see, hip hop is a state where everybody brags, everybody is doing well, whether they're doing well or not. Everybody is talking up what they're doing instead of facing the real issues. There's only a few that's facing the real issues. So when a little kid or somebody that is going through something, they see that and it's a facade. What's that telling you?
Well, I mean, for me personally, as my brother here has touched on his, I feel depression sometimes as well. I think I battle it once in a while. You just wake up, just out of the blue, I can be good for a whole week, and then just wake up one morning just feeling like the whole world is just caving in. And I think the best thing for me was being able to talk to friends such as y'all whenever I'm feeling that. I know I have y'all behind my back, not to even judge me, but just to give me an ear for somebody to listen. And that is the big thing. And as you, sometimes they feel that they don't have anyone to talk to. No one understands. I'm the only one going through this situation. Well, you know what? There's plenty of people out there who are going through this, and it's okay to talk. And don't be afraid, because you know what? At the end of the day, it's about you being the best you. And that's the most important.
That's a good point, G. The best you that you can be. You know, don't worry about trying to emulate nobody you see out here, any artists, because a lot of people, man, they wrap themselves up in somebody, a character, who they may see and say, well, you know what, I'm gonna mask everything in that character, and then you still end up just walking around wearing it.
You know what? Speaking of character, you know, and it brought, since you said that, it just made me think of ODB. You know, his character that he played himself, the ghetto man, and you know what? I'm pretty sure ODB had feelings and had thoughts and processes. Like man, you know what? Right? Because he put great albums out, so I know he's creative. Now, was that character, was that masking the pain that he felt?
I think so. I never thought about it like that until now, but I think so.
I think, like, as an artist, I think a great portion of artists mask who they are with their artistry. You know, and it's one, you know, we talked about DMX and Joe Budden putting it out there, you know, releasing it. I think a lot of people keep it inside, and that's why you have certain incidents. You know, that's why, you know, they may manifest it in alcoholism or drug abuse, and you know, so when you see him spazzing out, and I think that's Game's problem. He's wearing a mask. Joe Budden and DMX have taken the mask off. See, he's wearing the mask. He has these issues because he don't ever know what he's. I mean, I just read the other day. I mean, he doesn't really like Jay just because he met him one time and he said he was too cocky. What's the difference between that and you?
Right.
Where you at? What are you talking about? I mean, you the same way. You're not the same way, but you know, he tries to be the same way. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I just think that it's just their way of trying to hide who they really are instead of being true and honest with themselves. You know, a lot of people are not truly honest with themselves.
Exactly.
You know?
And that's the biggest thing, being able to look in the mirror. I think that is the biggest issue with hip hop. Hip hop cannot look in the mirror.
You know what? It brings me to a quote that you told me. There's a thin line between being a genius and being insane. And that's what it breaks out. And you know what? And I'm looking at he's same way. Where he just lost touch.
A lot of hurt,
and he hasn't touched on. Exactly. He hasn't touched on at all.
Part of that is him trying to find himself in the music. That's why we see a sporadic Kanye West, I think. You know, it's not as consistent as it used to be because he got a lot of pain, a lot of hurt, and he's still trying to get out.
And I also think that, like, people don't realize, you know, young people, they think that they got to find themselves immediately when you grow. I should know what I'm doing. I don't think you really find yourself till about 27, 28. That's when you start realizing really what you want to do after you graduated college, maybe work the job here, or you maybe didn't go to college. I mean, but it takes that long to find out who you are. It's evolution. You know, you try different things to figure out what is right for me. So, you know, you may not figure out who you really are until you're about 30 years old. So
you only learn by doing.
But I'm ready to eat.
I
mean, this is a great subject, but I'm hungry. I can't concentrate.
I'm about these bones in my hand right now.
We're about to leave the real scraps on the table.
Right.
And we're going to come back to y'all. This is Table Scraps. Y'all know what it is.
Talk to me. If you can.
Look, Chef. Compliments to the chef, okay?
He's my favorite.
I mean, Chef Jordan.
I know how he does it.
Exactly.
I don't do much talking, man.
Exactly. Look, I do my talking through sounds. Okay?
Food for thought, dog, get a plate.